In our previous video, we got our form up and working. So now that we have information coming in from our form, and we can do stuff with it on the back end, now what we want to do is display some feedback to the user. And to do that, we're going to import a function from Flask called Flash. Often we want to display a non-permanent message to the user, something that only stays until we refresh the page or go to a different one. These are called flashed messages in Flask, and we want to display a flashed message when our visitor submits the contact form. To use flash messages, we need to create a secret key, because Flask cryptographically signs all of the messages for security. This might sound complicated, but really all we need to do is provide a secret key that Flask can use to sign the messages. Generally in production, we'd keep the secret key private, and we'll look at how to do that in a future unit. To use it, after we instantiate our app, we need to say app.secretKey equals, and then provide a random string that Flask can use for signing. I'm just going to use some_secret. Secret keys are generally used for security, but we're going to go into more detail about these in future units, as we said. Now here, instead of a print statement, I'm going to call the flash function. Let's say thanks, and open and close curly brace, we have received your message, and then use the .format method to pass in the request.form name field. Now that that's done, all we need to do is update our template so that it can retrieve the flashed messages. To do that, we're going to create a with block. So we're going to use our curly brace %sign space with. We're going to supply a variable called messages, and that's going to be equal to the results of the getFlashedMessages function. So getFlashedMessages will return any of the messages that we've created using the flash function on the back end, and store that in a variable called messages. Now we're going to say that if there are messages, I'm just going to close off my if statement here, and also my with statement, with an end if and an end with. So if we have successfully returned messages from our getFlashedMessages function, then we're going to create some HTML. We'll give that a class so that we can style it later. And then what we're going to do inside our UL is iterate through each of the messages, because it's possible for us to create more than one. So we'll create a for block that says for message in messages. And I'll close that off with an end for. And then in my for block, I'm going to say li and message. So this will display each individual message that we leave. Now if we refresh our form, again I'll fill in Aaron's name and email address and a random string as a phone number and a message. Click on send, and we can see here now that as a list item, our flashed message is displayed. Thanks, Aaron Sinnott, we've received your message. Now, of course, we probably would want to provide more styling for that and make it look a lot nicer. But that's the basics of how to get flashed messages working with Flask. In this section, then, we've seen how to do advanced routing in Flask, how to create a form, and how to retrieve that information and do something with it on the back end. Now our project is almost complete. The only thing left to do is to deploy it so that it can be seen on the internet at large. We'll do that in our next series of videos.